The most crucial aspect of coaching college football at a prestigious university is something Marcus Freeman still hasn't mastered. Winning against the opponents you're supposed to lose again. To his CV, which had included losing at home to Marshall and a Stanford team that was in the middle of a 3-9 season in 2022, the Notre Dame coach can now add a surprising home defeat on Saturday against 28-point underdog Northern Illinois. Freeman informed reporters, "We've been here before. Kinda. This one is far worse." Freeman has been guiding the Fighting Irish for 3 years now. Despite being only 38 years old, his lack of experience no longer serves as a valid excuse. Freeman and his group, neither. As coaches, it is our responsibility to ensure that these boys are prepared for action. "I've always maintained that preparation reflects in performance," he said. After a convincing road victory over Texas A&M, Notre Dame entered Week 2 ranked 5th and seemed to have the most feasible route for the college football playoff in the nation, beginning at home against a Mid-American Conference opponent. The Fighting Irish took a 14-13 lead after Jeremiah Love's game-winning touchdown run in the third quarter, their only other scoring opportunity of the day. For a time, that seemed to be sufficient. But Riley Leonard, the recently acquired quarterback from Notre Dame, and the offense were never able to add more. With around 6 minutes remaining, you could practically feel the fear creeping in beneath touchdown Jesus when Leonard threw a horrifying underthrown interception that set up the Huskies at midfield. The Irish were unable to win the end, despite a few glaring officiating errors in the last minute, including a misspotted ball that lost NIU a first down and officials forgetting to start the clock after a measurement. Northern Illinois controlled the ball for almost 10 more minutes, outpaced Notre Dame by 102 yards, and performed better on third down. However, how? Excitedly, Freeman was hired when Brian Kelly left for LSU. Admittedly, he was a rookie head coach, but he seemed to be the complete opposite of Kelly. He had a connection that Kelly never had with players and fans. He was charming, enthusiastic, and in the moment. Kelly was never well liked in South Bend, despite having the most game wins during a 12-year period any coach in Notre Dame's legendary history. Kelly had to endure multiple early defeats to teams like Tulsa, Navy, and South Florida before he finally figured out the recipe for success at Notre Dame. Kelly's club had 7 consecutive seasons with 10 wins, 2 4-team playoff visits, and success in 2017. Kelly's teams were criticized for not being able to compete with the greatest teams or win the biggest games. However, he did well in the games he was expected to win, and the Irish supporters were moved by his performance. Not being the main story of the weekend after losing to a massive underdog isn't the most attractive quality in a college football coach, but it keeps things calm. Since 2022, there have been 28 college football games in which a home favorite by at least 16 points lost, according to Chris Fallica of Fox Sports. 3 of them are currently in Freeman's squad. For Notre Dame coaches, Year 3 is traditionally a huge one, full of championship game appearances and national championships. From all appearances, this seemed to be Freeman's best squad yet, but it's possible that we underestimated the challenges that a completely redesigned offensive line would bring. However, it remains to be seen in the home opener against a MAC team. We have a 1-1 split. We must acknowledge that reality. However, safety Xavier Watts warned reporters that the season was far from over. He is accurate. This year's 12-team college football playoff alters everything. But Notre Dame was always likely to come under close examination from the selection committee due to a weak schedule. Perhaps that will change. Louisville is ranked 22nd. USC ranked 13th, one after defeating Kelly's LSU squad. It has a stretch to it. We are responsible for this. Every coach, everyone is present at this place. It's something we all have to own, Freeman said. Oh, you most certainly will. Miss Michigan. You might argue that the first half of number 3 Texas' rout of number 10 Michigan settled the score. But in actuality, it was most likely decided in December when the Wolverines blocked the transfer. To be fair, Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's head coach, who everyone with internet access knew was most certainly returning to the NFL, had the team poised to win a national championship. It was certainly not the best way to begin rebuilding a squad that was set to send over a dozen players to the NFL. Even still, it's hard to imagine Michigan's new coach, Sherrone Moore, starting the season with this quarterback dilemma in this era of college football free agency. Although Davis Warren is an inspiring tale of a cancer survivor who is more valuable as a starting player than most walk-ons, he doesn't now seem ready to start for a club that is regarded as a playoff contender. Although Alex Orji had only thrown 6 passes in his career during his first 2 seasons at Michigan, he seemed to be the clear successor to first-round draft selection J.J. McCarthy. The 6'3", 235-pound Texan would provide the Wolverines' offense with a rushing threat, nothing more. Warren, however, outperformed him. After 3 quarters, Warren had just 73 yards passing and had thrown 2 picks. Florida State and Kentucky Texas are experiencing firsthand the unpredictability of a transfer quarterback. What would have appeared in a maize and blue-winged helmet this year? For Ohio State transfer Kyle McCord, 8 touchdown throws in 2 games for Syracuse. Could we consider a player who is still in the process of development? Eli Holstein, a transfer from Alabama, has led Pitt to a 2-0 lead with 6 touchdown passes and 2 300-yard passing games. Malik Murphy, a Texas transfer, has 5 touchdown passes and leads Duke 2-0. Of course, Michigan's offense is dealing with more than just its quarterback. It is the most obvious problem. I was more concerned with what we could do to improve than I was with the growing pain. Moore said. We were aware of this as a new team. We never try to take our victory over last year's national title lightly. Across the nation right now, Georgia, Texas, and Alabama, the 3 teams from the Southeastern Conference, are ranked in the top 4 by AP. Tennessee, at number 14, may be nearer that group than its ranking indicates. The Volunteers dominated NC State, ranked number 24. James Franklin, Penn State's coach, could provide some counsel for Freeman. The 8th-ranked Nittany Lions trailed another MAC school, Bowling Green, by 24 points and 289 yards in the first half, but they corrected their mistakes at halftime. Win by a single touchdown. Penn State supporters were undoubtedly unhappy, but this weekend, Happy Valley is a better place to be than South Bend. As nearly losing is still winning. Tough non-conference games were won by Big 12 challengers, number 16 Oklahoma State and number 17 Kansas State, both of whom need second-half comeback. In double overtime, Cowboys defeated the Razorbacks by taking advantage of a ton of errors made by them, including 648 yards to Taylon Green, another attractive transfer. The Wildcats needed a late scoop and score to escape New Orleans undefeated, and they were fortunate to have Tulane called for offensive pass interference. Few top teams faced unranked opponents with less luck. Iowa State overcame number 21 Iowa thanks to a last-second 54-yard field goal from redshirt freshman kicker Kyle Conradi. The first time since 2019, Illinois triumphed against a highly regarded non-conference opponent, defeating number 19 Kansas. Before 6th-year quarterback Cam Rising had to leave the game due to a hand injury, number 11 Utah was leading Baylor. The Utes declared that Rising's injury was not significant as they wrapped up the win. It's better not to think about how Utah's offense functions in his absence. Bryant Vincent, UAB's interim coach, was passed over in favor of the unconventional and eye-catching hiring of former Super Bowl winner Trent Dilfer, who was coaching a high school team in Tennessee. Hired by Louisiana Monroe during the offseason, and on Saturday, ULM defeated UAB 32-6. Number 25 Clemson defeated Appalachian State 35-0 in the first quarter, displaying the performance of a team weary of hearing that it is no longer a viable contender for the national championship.